Hello, in this Web Development Basics video, we are going to look at two CSS selectors. We're going to look at the general sibling selector and the adjacent sibling selector. And to help illustrate this, I've made a really simple web page. What it is a div which I've set as a square, and I've put two p tags above it and three p tags below it. So the first thing you need to kind of understand when using both these selectors is that siblings are only defined as elements that are below another element. So in this case, this p tag is considered an adjacent sibling to this div because it is immediately below it. All three of these p tags are considered general siblings to this div because they are below the div. And we can see that in the code right here. Here's that div I was talking about, and there are those three p tags. This is considered an adjacent sibling because it is directly below, and all three of these are called general siblings because they follow the div tag. Notice that they're at the same level. They are not inside the div tag. Even though in theory you could say that these p's are siblings because they're at the same level, they're not considered siblings in this context. So let's start with the adjacent sibling selector. So if I write div and a plus p, what that says is find all the divs and take all the adjacent siblings that are p's and then apply this style to them. And we're just going to set the color to red. And so what this is going to do is it's going to find the div which is here, and it does have an adjacent sibling which is a p, and it will set the color of that to red, which we can see there. Now it's really important to note here that if I introduce another element like a list and then refresh this, it's no longer red because it is no longer an adjacent sibling. It has to be directly below that element. And that is the adjacent sibling selector. Now, if I wanted general siblings to have this style applied to them, I would use the tilde. And this says find the div and find any general siblings of a div and set that color to red. So if I save that and refresh it, I see that all of these p tags, which are general siblings, will be set to red. Now I'm going to set up a slightly different situation just to illustrate one last feature. So let me just pause this. Okay, so we were looking at like I said, we're looking at the general sibling selector, and the question is this p here a general sibling to a div? And so this is what we had before, and let's just take a look and see what happens. So if I save this and I refresh this, notice now I have inside div general sibling. What happened there? Oh, I have a slash div. There we go. That's better. Okay, there we go. Inside div. So notice that this p tag is not red because this is not considered a general sibling. A general sibling has to be at the same level and below the actual tag we're looking at. So this p here is the adjacent and general sibling, and these two p tags are general siblings. But because this p tag is inside this div, it is not a sibling. Play around with these two selectors. Once you get the hang of them, it becomes a lot easier to do some CSS manipulation. I hope this helped, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.